Guys, it is me, and today I'm going to be talking about Batman Arkham Knight and how Batman Arkham Knight does not take place in the original Batman Arkham games. So basically, like all of the Batman Arkham games we've had so far, like Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Origins, and yeah, and that's about it. So yeah, now the reason why I think that Batman Arkham Knight does not take place after you know, the original Batman Arkham games is because I think it takes place basically in another timeline, you know, like another universe, where in Batman Arkham City, Batman doesn't get the cure. Instead, he has these hallucinations of the Joker. That's what I'm thinking, because for those of you that have never played Batman Arkham Knight, Batman has hallucinations of the Joker in Arkham Knight because I don't know why. I think it's something to do with VR as well, stuff like that. So yeah, that's my kind of theory, I guess you can call it, that it doesn't, like, Batman Arkham Knight does not take place after well, it does take place after City and also previous games, but I think that Batman Arkham Knight takes place in an alternate universe where Batman never got the cure in City. So that's what I'm thinking, because like in Batman Arkham City, like such as like the remastered version of Batman Arkham City, and also the original Batman Arkham City for the Xbox 360, Batman got his cure. So I'm thinking that Batman Arkham Knight takes place within a different timeline, and takes place also in an alternate universe. So because it makes zero sense for Batman to get his cure and then have hallucinations of the Joker. And I know what you're all thinking, oh yeah, VR, what about VR? Batman has the first hallucinations of the Joker in that. Well, here's my point, alright? I strongly believe that Batman Arkham, so yeah, in my personal own words, I think that Batman Arkham VR and Batman Arkham Knight does not take place in the original timeline. Alright, I think they're completely separate. I think they're completely separate. I think they're completely separate universes, because, like, and it makes zero sense if Batman had the cure and then he started to see hallucinations of the Joker once again. Like, it makes zero sense as well when you guys think about it. It just makes zero sense, and yeah, just makes zero sense really, and that's the reason, and that's the thing. So that's the theory I had. So yeah, I know that you guys are gonna probably rant on this, saying, or type in the comments, but Five Nights at Freddys Anniversary, Batman Arkham Knight does take place within the original timeline of Batman Arkham. Well, not I'm thinking like it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. I don't know why Batman Arkham Knight would take place in the original timeline. It makes zero sense. And well, it could be that he's dreams, but yet again, dreams can always be defeated, and it makes zero sense. And also, I actually found out that Scarecrow was actually eaten by Killer Croc. So like, I know that Batman is, you know, an animated fictional character, and so is the Scarecrow, but Scarecrow got eaten by Killer Croc. So how can Scarecrow even be alive? It makes zero sense as well. And just think about that for a second. Scarecrow gets killed by Killer Croc, and then he comes back in Night. Think about that for a second. When you think about it, it makes kind of zero sense, because it just doesn't feel right. Like, you can just tell that it's like a different universe. I don't know. It's probably because I don't know. Probably it's just me, but I'm pretty sure that you can't, when you get eaten by like a crocodile or some type of wolf, I swear you cannot come back to life. Like that's literally impossible. Yeah, it just feels a bit fishy. Like I don't know. Sorry, not fishy, crowy, if you catch the joke. But yeah, it kind of makes zero sense whatsoever, and it just doesn't feel right. Oh god. Just doesn't feel right, like literally at all. And yeah, it just doesn't. It really doesn't. I don't know why it would make sense if Batman's already had his cure, and just doesn't. And I can tell that this is just an alternate reality, like an alternate universe that Batman Arkham Knight lives in. That makes sense, like, but when it's put into the original timeline, it doesn't make sense. And like, could you imagine like a game being created, say for example, Spider-Man. Like, if you basically kill off Spider-Man, but then in the sequel he's still alive, it wouldn't make sense for that sequel. It wouldn't make sense for Spider-Man to come back in that sequel, because he was dead in the first bit of the game. So that means that that sequel would be in an alternate universe, because because Spider-Man died in the original game. So it kind of doesn't make sense for, you know, Batman to have his cure, as I said before. Like, it makes zero sense for Batman to have his cure and then start seeing hallucinations of the Joker. It just doesn't feel right to me. And also, Batman dies in Arkham Knight, which obviously kind of does make sense, but doesn't at the same time. Like, it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't. Like, in Arkham City, Batman has his cure, and that's it, really. Like, there's nothing for Batman to, you know, fear anymore. Like, it's just, something just feels quite off. Like, I don't know. Now, I have played through Batman Arkham Knight, so and I couldn't catch like how Batman can have hallucinations of the Joker when he's already had his cure. Like I said before, it makes zero sense. Zero sense. Now this isn't a rant, guys, but this is my theory, like that Batman Arkham Knight takes place within an alternate universe. Like it feels a sequel to another Batman Arkham game that doesn't match or doesn't go with the original games. So that would basically include like the original games like Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Origins, and also, yeah, that's about it. Just those three games. Like it makes zero sense for Batman Arkham Knight to be in the original timeline of the Batman Arkham series. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. So I'm thinking that Batman Arkham Knight is a sequel to a rebooted Batman game that never even came out, and I don't know what's going on. It's all confusing, like strangely, like makes zero sense. And if you don't believe me, go and play Batman. Go and play Batman Arkham City on your PlayStation 4 or on your Xbox 360 and PS3, and you'll see what I mean. Like it just makes zero sense. I don't know. Batman Arkham Knight feels like a sequel to a rebooted Batman Arkham game that never even came out. That's what I'm thinking right now in my head. Like, how is that even possible? It's just so strange. So strange. I don't know what's going on, guys. Like, it just feels strange. Just feels quite strange when you think about it. Like, and it's confusing as well. Like, Batman Arkham Knight, it's not complex, but it's confusing as well, because especially when you play Batman Arkham City and then you play Batman Arkham Knight, it gets you even confused even more. Now there was this guy, I can't remember his YouTube channel name, but this guy was like ranting on like the Batman Arkham Knight game, which is the thing that I'm playing right now, and he says it makes zero sense. And you know what, buddy? It does. It makes zero sense. Like like as I said before, in Batman Arkham City, Batman gets his cure. In Batman Arkham Knight, he has hallucinations of the Joker, which shouldn't happen because Batman got his cure in City. So this means that Batman Arkham Knight takes place within a different universe. It makes sense. It makes sense. There you go. Alright. So I'm guessing I don't know. But yeah, there's no way that Batman Arkham Knight takes place in the exact same universe as the three games follows, like Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Batman Arkham Origins. It makes no sense, like, whatsoever. Now, we do know that Batman Arkham Knight takes place after the events, after Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Origins. But I think that those, whatever happened in the Batman Arkham Knight timeline, or the Batman Arkham Knight universe, as I like to call it, Batman, so here I'm gonna do a timeline here, right? So let's start with the first timeline, which is our kind of Batman Arkham timeline. So in the original Batman Arkham timeline, Batman takes the Joker to the asylum, and after Batman has dealt with the enemies of the asylum and takes down the Joker, Batman then goes to Arkham City, right? Batman then goes into Arkham City and then defeats Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul. I can't pronounce his name right. Yeah, so he basically goes to Arkham City. Batman goes to Arkham City, defeats Two-Face, defeats Ra's al Ghul, and the Joker, and then in the ending, Batman gets his cure, and then he carries Joker's dead body over to the police department, or the GCPD, and that's the end of that timeline. In Batman Arkham Knight, which is basically set, I'm thinking that is set in an alternate universe, this would mean that we're now carrying on to that's, which I would like to call it, the I'll call this Batman Arkham timeline number 2. Batman Arkham Asylum. All right, we all know that in Batman Arkham Knight takes place after the events of Batman Arkham Asylum. So basically, Batman Arkham Knight takes place after the events after Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Batman Arkham Origins, of course, and stuff like that. So, which means that in the Batman Arkham Knight timeline, Batman takes the Joker to the asylum, like the original timeline of Batman, of the Batman Arkham series, and then defeats the, bad guys and stuff like that. And then once he's done with, then when he was done with Arkham Asylum, he then goes into Arkham City and then basically defeats Two-Face. He then defeats Two-Face, and then he defeats, of course, Ra's al Ghul and etc. And then in the ending, Batman never drunk his cure, and now he's having hallucinations of the Joker. So that's timeline 2 done. So this would make sense that Batman Arkham Knight takes place in an alternate universe. Alright? I think I just confused you even more now, but yeah, I'm thinking that the Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and Origins did happen before Arkham Knight, and I think that Batman Arkham Knight did happen after those games, but I'm thinking they happened in an alternate timeline. So a timeline where Batman never got his cure. But in the original Batman Arkham City, or in the original timeline of the Batman Arkham series, Batman got his cure. And now it makes sense. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Batman Arkham Knight takes place in a different timeline, like literally. That's what I'm thinking, because there's literally no way that, you know, you guys know the details, but yeah, it just doesn't feel right. I know I kept repeating myself. It's just that I'm getting distracted by this game, and you know, it's a really nice game. Batman Arkham is a really nice game, and I suggest you buy it. Yeah, so it's a really nice game, but it's still confusing. Like, it's just, wow, it's just so confusing. Like, the entire thing is confusing as well if you think about it. Like, Batman Arkham Knight, man, is the most confusing games in the entire Batman Arkham series. Like, seriously, I don't know what's going on with Arkham Knight. Like, Batman gets his cure in City, and then he's then having hallucinations of the Joker in Night. It makes zero sense. Like, seriously, I don't know what's going on. Like, literally don't know what's going on, like, at all. It's just so strange. Like,
I've been to war zone sites in this city.
makes zero sense as well. Just doesn't. Oh, it's just strange. And also awkward. Well, not awkward, but it's just so confusing. The entire Batman Arkham timeline is confusing. I don't know why it's confusing. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking that Batman Arkham Knight takes place in a different timeline. It's just not. It's just so confusing. Like, seriously. It's just so confusing. So confusing whatsoever. Strange as well, like. Strange. So yeah. It's just so strange. It's just so strange, like, I just can't put my finger on it, why it's, like, so confusing. Sorry guys, I keep stopping, but yeah, it's just so confusing. The entire Batman Arkham timeline is just so confusing, and it's like, you never know when to expect. You don't know when to expect when a timeline is going to be so confusing or not. Like, literally, it's just so confusing. Like, oh, I'm gonna die. But yeah, it's confusing as maybe like in a dozen years. Like, seriously, like, it's so confusing. Alright, so also I'm going to be doing a theory, so yeah, see you guys, see ya probably next time. Also the Nightmare Moon tribute is here, so you guys can have a look at that. It's right on my channel, so You guys can go and have a look at it. I'm going to leave a link down in the description if you can't find it. So yeah, goodbye.